I am Jenny, but I'm going to be Mrs. P, the special ed teacher.
I'm Alyson, and I'm going to be mom.
I'm Ashley, and I'm the general education teacher.
And I'm Will, and I'm going to be the dad.
Okay, so let's start our meeting. Well, thank you everyone for attending this meeting regarding Henry. I am pleased that we can all sit down together to solve the issue at hand. Firstly, I would like to start off with his general ed teacher, Miss Hales. Would you please tell us some of the information about the reason why we are here today?
Okay, so Henry overall is doing great in his academic progress. He is passing every subject and understands new concepts fairly quickly. What I am worried about, though, is his behavior when he gets upset. This can negatively influence his progress, and I would really like to figure out a solution as a team that we can do together constructively to help him learn new ways to handle his frustration. The incident we are meeting about is pertaining to Henry ripping off other students' artwork from the wall. This is a concern because we want all of our students to respect others' property. Henry is very capable of behaving respectively, and we want to help him be able to have self-control in all situations. Ms. Wagner, what are some of your questions?
Well, if his father would attend some family counseling sessions instead of just yelling all the time, I'd just make sure the behavior would be fine.
Well, if you stop drinking during the day and stop being too soft on him and let him get away with everything, maybe that would change a few things, because when my baby's with me, he never behaves this way.
Okay, so I understand that there is an issue with Henry's behavior. Let's focus on what we can do positively to help this issue. Implementing a consequence for this is what we should be focusing on. How to implement it through school and home would help reinforce reducing negative behaviors. So what are some of the consequences you implement at home, Mr. Peña?
Well,
There we go.
I really already, can I talk? Just take a sip of your vodka and just let me talk. Well, what I do at home, I spank him. I don't let him get away with things like this thing over here does, and I don't take crap from him. If he's throwing tantrums, I make sure that he's behaving properly the way he's supposed to be behaving, and I give him things to do, and I give him structure. But he spends most of the week with, the mother here, and I don't get to discipline him every day. So I only get to do it on the weekends when I have him.
Okay. And now, Mrs. Wagner, what do you do at home for consequences?
I ignore him when he's being bad.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good. And Ms. Hales, how do you implement consequences in the classroom?
Okay, so in my class, Henry gets a verbal warning first. If he
See, that's the problem. Verbal warnings, no.
Well, you have to give him a chance. So if the behavior proceeds, I will pull him aside and give him a second warning, and we will have a discussion.
Right.
And if it continues, I will move his seat and have him sit in a designated area by himself so he has time to think and calm down.
Okay, perfect. That sounds like some great ways to resolve classroom issues. When I exhibit his negative behavior, depending on the situation, I will pull him aside out of the classroom to allow him to vent to me about what's wrong. I have been actively building his communication skills on what to do before he gets angry so he can always have self-control. I have also implemented a break card for him to be able to walk away to a safe area in the room that has a beanbag where he can have a few moments to calm down and recollect himself, or how to verbally communicate his issues calmly. So now that we've all discussed how we address consequences separately, what could we do as a team that could follow through from school into each home, whether he goes to dad or whether he goes to mom? This way it follows through across the board so we're all on the same page. Do you have any suggestions, Ms. Hales?
Mr. Peña, are you able to spend quality time with your son?
Look, I work 6 days a week, so the only time that I get him is on the weekends, and I need a day to myself and my family. But if you really think it's gonna help, I guess I could take him to a ball game or something. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I guess I could try, unlike other people.
Well, that would be great. I'm sure he would love that.
Okay.
The reason it's important to have quality time is because I know recently you have a new wife and you have a new addition to your family, and it's critical when having a new.
Just drink your vodka. Don't
Okay.
disrespect Belinda, okay?
Let's focus back on the situation of your son, okay? And the reason it's important is because sometimes when a new child comes in the picture, the older one feels a little bit left out or
See, but
neglected.
I don't think that's a problem because he loves the baby. He holds the baby, plays with the baby.
That's very good.
And
that you
I don't think
incorporate
that's a
that.
problem. I think the problem is my ex over here drinking herself
Okay, but would it be a problem
to
if
passing out every day.
when you have your son just taking an hour and just having you and him time, whether it be going to a park, going to a movie, sitting in the car and just going for a drive, going to a park, picnic table, sitting down and just talking, asking him about his day and how his week was and what he learned at school.
Look, if she'll let me take him to work, I'll take him. He
Okay.
can be with me, but she's the one that has the full custody. I only have visitation rights.
Okay, well,
So maybe she can do something about it instead of just drinking herself.
right. Well, maybe if you guys work some kind of resolution out on, how often you see him, but when you do have him, would you be able to have that little bit of quality time, just you and him?
I can try.
Okay, good. And now, Miss Wagner, what do you think you could do differently now that you've heard us all kind of talk about what we do, especially here in the school? What's something maybe different you could do besides just positive reinforcement, which is great. You should continue doing your positive reinforcement and ignoring certain behaviors, that's another very great way to address certain behaviors. But what else could you incorporate as far as consequences?
I could probably point out the negatives and showing him why it's negative that way and why it's not good to do something like that or speak back that way.
Okay.
That would be a first.
Or
That would
ignoring
be-
him. Try not ignoring him as much as I do with his father. Maybe lacking on maybe not as much day drinking. Maybe that's not a good
Right.
Well,
towards
with
his-
that, she loves
towards
her
his
vodka.
effective attitude. So we'll try that a little bit.
Okay, and what about, is there anything preferred that he has at home as far as like
He
maybe?
has a DS.
Okay, now do you
See,
think
she
that?
brought that for him. I didn't want that because video games ruin kids. Look at what's clearly.
Okay, well, these are, that's okay that you feel that way. If you could just give me one moment though, and let me help
No,
her.
you can
Guide
go
her
ahead.
along. So when he comes home from school, if myself or Miss Hales calls you and tells you, hey, we had a little bit of a rough day and this is what we had to do, maybe when he comes home, would you be able to take away his DS that evening?
Yeah.
And then it would just help follow through home?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And Miss Hales, do you have any suggestions as far as implementing anything different in your classroom?
I think as long as we stick to it and stay on the same page and we're all together, that it will work better than what we're doing now.
Right. I think the most important thing here is that we are all able to communicate positively. Because the better that we all communicate, what's going to be the best outcome for
Well,
Henry?
I can be civil, but look at her. She's drinking her vodka in
It's a
plain
water.
daylight. That's vodka.
Right.
You can keep saying it's water, but I know it's vodka.
Okay, well, if it's vodka or water, she's here and she's attending and she's present.
She probably won't even remember what we talked about.
Well, if that's the case, I'm just.
But look, I'm
I'm
happy.
sorry,
Look,
I had to get out of character.
I'm happy. Look, I'm happy to. Again, like I said, I can take him in and take him to do things with him because I want what's best for him. I don't want him to
Right.
become some meth addict or something. I want him to do good in school.
Right. And what about the lines of communication as far as him talking to you before he gets angry? Because that's a big thing with what I have noticed when working with Henry is that if being proactive and getting to him when you see him initially getting a little bit frustrated before he explodes, those behaviors won't happen.
See, I don't think he does that because I make sure that he is afraid of me. I don't take crap from him. And I don't want him to show this kind of behaviors in front of me because he needs to respect me and he needs to respect you as his teachers.
And I completely agree that respect is critical coming from a student to an adult figure. But now, the only thing that I will ask you is that instilling fear into a child, there are other forms that could also be rewarding and beneficial, such as...
See, she's sweating alcohol already.
Okay, let's not worry about Miss Wagner, and let's focus on maybe positively working with Henry as far as maybe not scaring him into submission, but, you know, when you see him getting angry, just simply asking him, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? What
See,
can
I'm not
we do
I'm
to
not a
make it better?
lovey-dovey person. I can't do that.
Well, that's really not
I mean,
anything
what I'll
to
do
with
is,
love.
I'll spend time with him and, keep his mind occupied instead of, so he can come to school happy
Right.
and say, hey, I had a great weekend, I did this, I did that. I want him to do well in
Do you
school.
think him coming to school scared is happy?
No, I just think he just gets away with everything at home during the week. He just says, you know what, screw this, I'm just going to act up and do whatever I want.
Well,
And
Miss Wagner has agreed to implement what we talked about, following through at home, and start implementing consequences, which will be more firm and
well,
strict.
if she sticks to what she's going to say,
Would you be willing to also just, if you would like, I can write you a list of questions when you notice him getting angry, just, why are you upset? Just and just listen to him. And even if you think it's ridiculous, he's 7, he's a kid. You remember what it was like to be a kid. And sometimes you got upset about silly things.
I do,
maybe-
but I didn't have a dad that was like that. I didn't grow up like that.
Okay, but you still got upset about silly things, and that's okay because they're a kid, and it's, that's okay. So,
Look, if you can get my ex to do what she's going to say, then I'll stick to what I have to do,
And we will.
we can,
and
move
she
on.
will, right, Miss Wagner? Okay.
Right.
And if I need to create a contingency contract with the both of you, we can also do that. And we'll meet again in 9 weeks to kind of see where we're all at with this. And in the
Okay.
interim, Mr. Peña, you need to behave, okay? 'Cause you need to stay off the alcohol. I'm just kidding about the last part. I would never say that to a parent. That's
Bye.
pretty much sums it